Attention gamers, tell me you play League of Legends without telling me you play League of Legends. I'll go first. I started my last promos off 2-0 thinking it'll be an easy clap to win one of the next 3. The third game my team's jungler decided that AFKing after getting red buff was the perfect way to cuck me over from the start without an option for the good old Riot remake, so while he spent the whole time throwing coins over his shoulder in the fountain, I was getting my ass plugged so many times you'd think I just cashed out a gift card to Adam and Eve, so put that one in the column labeled Al and go next, only for me to be disgraced with the presence of a literal stain of shit on my team in the second. A Karthus jungler who decided that the best use of his limited time on this planet was to repetitively run it down from the second the game started, as if he just woke up pissed off that day, so cheers to an 18 death douche schnozzle tying up my series at 2. So game 5 hits and I'm OPGGing the absolute ass out of my teammates, trying to influence them to play their main champs like this top, who I discovered has a lot of experience digging graves, but no, in my game 5 he has decided to stray from the only champ he ever plays to lock in Garen. And you wanna know how that went? He died 5 straight times in lane to a toddler with pigtails and then decided to AFK 13 minutes into the game. So I reverse sweep myself due to circumstances that I don't think the difference between being a silver and a gold player would have changed the outcome in those last 3, and Riot, look me in the f***ing eyes and tell me this type of bullshit in promos isn't intentional. But in case this isn't a perfect example of how League's community is killing at least my desire to play the game, let's dive into another one I had a few days later, you know, like the very next time I got back to promos. So if you feel like Riot's RNG gods are out to get you as well every time you get into promos, let's all bond together by slapping the absolute excrement out of that upward thumb button and getting into the straight suffering I just endured. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. I went sellout for all the weird shits in chat who paid to see my dinner, and second, you can see in chat my Ezreal had a short and fat with small dick complex, already challenging everything anyone else was saying, you know, standard League player type of bullshit. That said, I'm not gonna blow smoke up your asshole like I'm a chimney. Your Santa and cookies are waiting for your fat ass at the bottom just to feed in this one myself. So the very first gank from that small child and its diabetic reindeer resulted in me exploiting the fact that I used to sell those snowballs enough to know they don't have 3-point turning, so I break that shitter's ankles, then I whip out my scrotum to show them how stretched it is from supporting such big ass balls with a bold bounce into battle to bust a nut on the bear and send a message that I will not be welcoming visitors in this lane. Introducing the Baldy who made me maldy up against a large muscular grape, and after getting swollen Sylvester down to a single cannon queef from death with 18 different ways to play this without dying, he decided to do it his own way to keep the gold counts up there even. Meanwhile, my mission was to put so much constant pressure on this octopus that he would develop anxiety, and after noticing that my performance was attracting attention, I decided to show the villain from Toy Story the tattoo on my ass that says YOLO to continue the theme of every enemy gank, putting a direct deposit into my bank. Then back to the blue bitch up top who has his map rolled up and strapped to his back instead of somewhere his dumb ass can see it, which is probably why he missed the 1200-pound snowball rolling his way. But not to worry, he has a plan, one that immediately got ruined, and unfortunately the only plan B in his life was the one his mother forgot to take the morning after he was conceived. All this while my jungler is occupied in river, just bamboozled over the riddle, when the damn scuttle spawning, and while he is hard at work looking up the solution online, dick in hand, Cheez-Its in the other, our top is doing the dog water antics by positioning for the hat trick of out of vision, out of position, and on one hell of a mission to prove that he has a serious brain condition. So the flaming in chat cherry gets popped as our jungler is just happy that the scuttle crab he's been waiting for has arrived. But I was headed up north for business this time, and while the details of my mission are confidential, let's just say it involved a bodybuilder with apparent circulation problems and a surprise appearance from a bumblebee of the Supportus breed, which typically are not indigenous of this part of the rift. But hey, props to my bot for realizing the enemy support was up north, blowing surprise stingers up my shithole, and despite getting a visit from roly-poly holy jungle diff, things were looking good until a flash into fail combo ends in him eating a frozen fart that Nunu was holding in for so long you'd think he just got in the car after hanging at his high school girlfriend's house all night, and needless to say you don't survive ground zero of one of those. Then the homies with the extra chromies are over my place, yippee, and it's like they had a fetish for getting that little bumblefuck one shot and then watching him squirm, which long story short gets the bruised alien killed, and then the tin twat has one job and it's not to ult, which he still cucks up, so he manages to make 200 years look weak while simultaneously coming out of the closet through the door that has 4 enemies waiting outside of. So yeah, smile for the camera, you moron. But thankfully once the dead bitch Zamboni cleans up the lane and it goes back to a one-on-one date, I take the opportunity to continue marking my territory with a last-minute ass blaster to bully that floating calamari. Checking in on the knight in whining armor on a mission to prove that Mordekaiser ganks are not the league equivalent to Steve Carell's career after The Office, but thanks to our bot lane having less follow-up than a guy after a first date who died in a plane crash and the collective IQ of the group being less than the count of their bodies, they get chased away as even the dirty Blumpkin I was bullying in lane makes an appearance to see what it's like to be a part of the not dying side in a fight. And as if who can be the dumbest cuck is now a contest, our top is now casually ignoring the fact that one little wand simp is not a vaccine that protects against the tanking 2 turret shots and getting shit slapped to death by a raging infected grapefruit virus. So once again I feel like the unappreciated janitor at a nightclub constantly running around trying to clean up the mess from the latest shit fest, and despite the Hulk willing to shed literal body parts to stay alive, I avenge the bruised bald Jim Carrey, God rest his dumb fucking soul. Then I join forces with the metal moron who is just ecstatic that Scuttle spawned again, and when I see half their team appear out of nowhere my reaction is to make like my ex and move on, but this dude would rather take the first place trophy at the worst performance in an alternate dimensional closet contest before getting tag teamed worse than a sex doll at an academic fraternity. And of course we have to get into this trash ass tilt triangle where feeder number 1 is shitting on feeder number 2 and a third party feeder steps into flame feeder number 1, then feeder number 2 whips out feeder number 1's credentials to flame him back while I'm over here trying so hard my head hurts, with the only contribution of my kills from the inting idiots to celebrate as if they did anything at all by shaving their heads and running straight into danger only to get spit shit on by a support BMO. And thankfully this Cassidon was continuing to emulate the turd in this proverbial punch bowl of enemies, outclassing the backup cuck circus that I was dealt with as teammates, who were wasting their time pacing back and forth with no objective at all other than to type and chat about how they are less shit than one another, only to walk straight into the other team who undoubtedly is grouped and so supportive that they would suck herpes out of a whore's asshole for each other like they are trained to swarm and from all angles, whereas the only training my team had was the Rift tutorial they finally finished on their third try right before queuing up for this game. So of course his response to getting squashed from both sides like the icing in a fucking useless Oreo is to divert the blame to top and top only, and at this point I do have to admit that my mental might have slipped just a bit. Can't wait for my 2-week ban from Riot, but he responds by saying he can't 1v5, and while that fact was apparent after his 4th failed attempt, I also wasn't confident he could beat a paralyzed Swan in an arm wrestling match at this point. And the promo's pattern of playing I know your shit but what am I continues as time is spent typing instead of farming or doing anything that would later help you. I don't know, 1v1 a fucking damn Teemo support instead of relying on me to deliver the bad news every time they's a dead buzzing bitch. Shout out to Riot's replay system making a celeb appearance here, which decided that part of this footage will be shown exclusively in their sperm stain filter, so don't let the misty jizz overlay distract from the fact that this balding molding moron still has the positional awareness of a balloon in the middle of a porcupine orgy. All while I'm trying to do my best to find the focus target's mid-piss in the shrub status, trying to ensure it's the last piss they ever take, but the cam reveals that while I was doing that my team was pretending it was Pamplona in Spain, which is where a bunch of idiots run through tight corridors and get trampled by bulls. So yep, my bot lane is chilling back in base while our Rise is hard at work reminding everyone else that they are trash, as if the shit that comes out of his 3 and 8 ass is ready to be plated and served to the president for dinner, only for the flame and the blame to be returned like a volley in a new game called Tilt Tennis. And while the dude may talk a big game, at least he backs it up by Pac-Manning Teemo Shrooms and then becoming the first ever Mordekaiser to lose a 1v1 against an ADC in his home stadium. But apparently that was just because he was the only one who knew to contest a dragon spawning in 16 centuries while I was busy making sure the high-tech hoodlums weren't breaching our base and the toxic twinkle shit was studying abroad in bumfuck Egypt. That said, I slapped the Snow Yeti once more before a gangbang prep spot, but I am being overly cautious about grouping with them, 1 to avoid being involved in any dumb fight they get their dicks caught in, and 2 to avoid catching whatever disease they have causing them to act like kindergartners in a pool of lava. And I'm not exactly sure what Blue Jim Carrey's plan was on this one, but I am pretty confident it didn't work out the way he expected. Then it's Titan of Tilt's turn to earn his certification in dumbassery, as it's now reached the point in the game where Frankenstein gives no fucks and he who is apparently above this elo loses to stand stilling Sivir inside of his swampy donkey dick of a sad simulator. So then it resorts to this stupid habit that league players have gotten into where they moan and all chat about their teammates as if the guys benefiting from these incestual inting idiots are going to open up as therapists or some shit, as this Rise is following up performances like this, with statements like this, which makes me embarrassed to be part of the human race, all while the only kid on our team who wasn't constantly making up for a small dick complex by blaming others in chat was this unicorn cosplaying as a Disney princess, and unfortunately she was as useful as a waterproof tea bag. And so yeah, write this one up as another promos game lost. Reason being a squad of literal eternal virgins, and with that, go join my damn Discord server so we can share war stories about similar ranked queue experiences, link in the description. Tilted Rav out.
Fuck with Rabby boy, I'm in your crib with the blappy boy, talk to me slick and I'm popping your pappy. If happy talk back then I'm taking your Grammy, and boy oh boy I'll make her happy.